Popcorn Junkies, here we are. A Star is Born, the 2018 version, a remake of a remake of a remake of a remake, I think of a remake. I think this is the fifth remake. I mean, it's very, very remakey.
I saw the Barbra Streisand and Kristofferson one,
yes.
Anyone out there remembers, and I played that album until it was thin, but I had completely and entirely forgotten what the actual story was.
This is the new version, directed by Bradley Cooper. His directorial debut, which I'm quite excited about, or was concerned about going in.
Yeah, we were worried.
Yeah. Starring, obviously, himself. Always a worry when you have a director who's starring in the film they're going to be in. It can inevitably become quite cringe.
Self-indulgent, all the shots are on them,
Precisely.
overlong scenes.
Exactly, all those concerns. The title, A Star is Born, okay, I thought, I kind of know what I'm going to get. All the other Star is Borns, I sort of thought, right, okay, you know, familiar
Lady
territory.
Gaga, I don't know a lot about her. I know all the silly publicity stuff dressed in steaks and all of that.
Dresses.
I had a very prejudiced idea of what I was going to get.
Yeah, and I'm not a Lady Gaga fan at all.
No, I just
I've
know
never been
her.
drawn to.
Yeah.
No. So, in fact, everything was stacked up against this film from the get-go. But I was reminded of a quote by Paul Schrader, the director, when he said, a really meaningful film, or a film that has real impact, starts the minute you leave the cinema.
Ever since I left the cinema, I've just got back from the cinema having watched it with my mum. I feel very discombobulated and a bit like I'm just floating in another world. But actually Mark went yesterday to watch it. I had friends texting me, Mark's mum texting me today saying, oh, I think you should really think about whether you go to see this film. And I was like, oh no, I saw the one with Barbra Streisand and Kristofferson. No, it's fine, I'm going with my mum. I haven't been to the cinema with my mum for 30 years. The whole day has been very odd.
Very odd.
Because a lot of people will think that this film is about fame and about love, which it is.
Yeah.
If you haven't got any experience of addiction, depression or suicide in your family or close to you, you will love this film because it's a film also about fame and love, for the greatest love story.
Yeah.
But for us, it was incredibly poignant, wasn't it?
It was almost like an emotional documentary of I felt, my life.
Without either of us being stars.
No.
And that's where the relatability comes in.
Absolutely.
If anyone who's been either loved somebody who's an addict or been an addict, it will touch you very, very deeply. I don't often feel like this much in the cinema. I feel it more often in the theatre, but I don't often feel this much in the cinema.
But not only are all those elements that we've just outlined working against it for me, but also working against it is I hate the rock film genre. I hate being on the road. I hate putting on a show. I hate films in which generally music is shoehorned in and you've got to feel emotional about the music. The weird thing about this film was there was an opening scene of him on stage with all the music. Brilliantly shot, because I was worried this wasn't going to be cinematic, but the way this has been shot, in extraordinary close-up, extraordinarily intimate. I
just kept getting this running, not like goosebumps, but like a shivering through my body. It was such a weird sensory experience watching this film. Just the sound,
really
the feeling, just when that first time he takes her backstage, I was like, oh, I always couldn't bear it. It was all so emotional.
The introduction of Lady Gaga right at the beginning, I kept saying to you, make sure you're not late, make sure you're not late, because the way she enters the film from the toilet cubicle, dealing with a bloke on the phone, stating what she's stating, it was shot and it was performed so arrestingly and so dynamically. I felt Maddie go, yes! It established a strong woman with clear moral boundaries, who wasn't a walkover, wasn't taking shit. And then it proceeded to, obviously we saw these two pathways start to collide and intersect across the film. But at that point I thought, oh my God, hang on a minute, this is really nicely done. And I kept having these trigger moments of going, this is not falling foul of cliche.
And when I fell in love early on in the film with Lady Gaga, and now understand the obsession with Lady Gaga, was in that song, the French song.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Police.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's remarkable.
I mean, for that alone, she needs the Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, she is truly a star. Now I am a Lady Gaga fan.
I know, it's quite something.
She wasn't called Lady Gaga.
I know, there's something about that that's a bit annoying,
Anyway,
isn't it?
moving on.
I was surprised. I was really wrong-footed by the fact that you had her very sort of humble beginnings and origins, living with her dad, who's brilliantly played. Her father is just a brilliant character.
Who had been an alcoholic.
He was a recovering alcoholic and a cab driver.
Those scenes in the house. I mean, Lady Gaga was
phenomenal.
God, she can play down to earth and real.
Well,
good God.
But this is the thing. This film.
She's not coming down the stairs and answering the door. It's like, this. How can this woman play this? She's been a megastar for so long. How can she play this?
But that's what I thought Bradley Cooper achieved so well. You know, traditionally in these kind of rock films, you get that, you know, edge of stage thing, you know, in the wings of stage, and you're watching the rock stars on, and it's all very glitzy and glam, and you've got flashing bulbs in the camera and all that kind of stuff going on. He managed to make it extraordinary but ordinary.
Extraordinarily ordinary.
And it was so believable.
And watch for that, guys, when you see this film, because you will have to see this film.
Yeah.
We're not interested in anyone who isn't going to see this film.
Yeah. And I thought that was an amazing accomplishment, because what she then accomplished, which I can't even begin to fathom how she did it, she not only performed brilliantly on one level, but on an entirely different level. She had to perform this role and inhabit this role without having gone through everything her life has been about. She is the pinnacle of what Jackson was when she entered his life. Yeah. And for her to be able
to Barbra Streisand.
Play and inhabit that part, I was doubly...
Well, what there was enormous respect. Bradley is a huge star, so it's a huge star directing a huge star. Yeah. So I'm sure Lady Gaga can be a bit of a madam.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure she can be a diva. But what I felt was in there was a real respect between the two of them.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there was a humbleness in the way that they didn't perform. They never performed for a minute.
No.
I cannot believe those two aren't madly and passionately in love. Maddie said, no, he won't be, he only goes out with models. Well, if you do, Bradley, only go out with models, you know, she said he only goes out with young models.
Go out with Lady Gaga, for God's sake.
Sort your shit out and marry Lady Gaga, for God's sake.
God,
I will never, for as long as I live, forget the look in his face and the way he stood back and let her be a star.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just melted. Me and my mum melted, just melted into the seat. He's hit the top of what a romantic lead should be, and yet he's this broken addict.
Well, and absolutely
messed up man.
But as you say, it was a beautiful love story, and then what started to slowly encroach across the film, and I think he did this in such a brilliantly subtle way, was the slow beating. I mean, it's there from the beginning, but the increase.
But straight away, we know he's
a drunk. You know he's an addict. You know he's a drunk. But
and what I love is straight at the beginning, after her first date, she goes, "He's a drunk, Dad," and you know about that.
Yeah.
Bit like, I was thinking about this on the way home. I was thinking, I really knew. Though I always say I didn't know you were an alcoholic until 2 years. A bell rang. Early days, early doors. A bell rang that you were an alcoholic. And I just ignored it because I loved you. And like her, she just saw the good in him and I just saw the good in you. And when you've said to me so many times, how did you stay with me? It's because I said, because I saw the good through them. Yeah. And so for that was very, sort of quite breathtaking to watch that. You know.
Well, there was one scene that really made me feel so awkward. And at this point, my entire experience of the film completely shifted towards, oh my God, this is a completely different film to what I thought I was going to get. Even though what I was getting to begin with was beautifully done, it was kind of what I thought, story of rags to riches, I was getting that. And then there was a moment where she came in and a producer had spoken to her and she says to Bradley, look, they're talking to me. And he turns on the couch at this party, after gig party, and his eyes look sly.
Well, that was you.
And there was a moment where you couldn't work out whether this was sheer jealousy and he was going to control it. But what happened was, it was probably all of those things, but he moved and he carried on moving and fell to the floor drunk. And she stood up and it broke my heart and she said, don't worry, he does this all the time.
That was me with you.
I know.
The way because it's so bizarre,
the physicality, can I say, of that scene.
We watched this film separately because every moment, we've not discussed the film now, we're discussing it for the first time here. Every moment where that I went, shh, I'm going to be interested to see if you had the most minute. Because that moment when she said he does this all the time, think of all the times we were here, sat at the table, and you would fall all the way down the stairs when we had people here, and everyone would go, and I'd go, oh, it's all right, he always falls all the way down the stairs. You would fall all the way down the stairs, not here, it's next door, actually, and land at the bottom.
Something cracked in me at that point, and that crack in watching it left me vulnerable for the entire rest of the film.
And then with the cream, when you put the cream in her face, and you thought, is this a violent? Is he being violent? That unpredictability, and yet she just saw the good in him. Somebody looking at that would have gone, oh my God, that's a violent act, what he's done there.
I mean, I think this is probably one of the greatest performances of an individual ravaged by addiction and how it plays out within a relationship. I mean, I can't think...
And it's good because you know what? He stays beautiful throughout. He stays beautiful, he stays
despite the most embarrassing things happening, the most humiliating things happening.
Well, the awful embarrassing thing, which we won't say about the spoiler, that reminded me of that night when you'd cut your hand and stuff, and my mum and dad were with you and stayed with you, and I was like, I'd had enough and I was furious with you. That just brought that back. Like,
I know.
It brought so many things back to me, this film, and as it will with the millions of people that will watch it that have either been an addict or rescued an addict or loved an addict. You know, this is a film... Well, it's just a film for everyone.
But very specifically, what did you think of the scene where she walked into the rehab centre and saw him with his fresh fate? I mean, it reminded me of the moment you walked into the Priory, and I remember you saying to me, you look like a different person, and he broke down because of the humiliation he felt towards her father.
I know, well, that was me. I was crying in that bit in the cinema. I mean, I really was crying, and it was so weird that my mum was sat next to me.
It was like an out-of-body experience.
I still feel a bit out-of-body experienced about it because... Yeah, but I mean, that's great cinema, isn't it? I mean, that is great cinema when you touch, when you tell a great story and it makes people think about their own stories and what the similarities are of it. And I mean, please don't be worried and think, oh, well, I've not known an addict. This is the most beautiful love story. It's a story about the human condition. It's a story about relationships. Yeah. It's a story about a brother, a brother, a father, a friend, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend. If anyone's been any of those things, then this is the film for you because it's about that.
As an actor going in to direct something like this, it's very tricky. You often get directors who just can't stop focusing on themselves, you know, in a well-meaning way often because they're the star. But there were many scenes, for example, a wonderfully intimate scene between Bradley Cooper and his best friend from childhood when he found him in his garden. And Bradley talks, you know, he talks a lot in that scene with this friend, but he holds the shot. And this happens in a lot of scenes. He holds the shot on the person he's talking to an awful lot. And that's an act of great creative generosity. But I was reminded of that idea that when someone's an addict and their behaviour happens, there's a ripple, and the ripple effect reaches out and it affects all those people. Everyone. This film was interested in all the ripples and all the people it hit.
And we must be mindful of saying the singing will take you from the top of your toes right through your body and up through the top of your head. When Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga sing together, you will weep. Okay, well, I think I've said all the way through. This is an extraordinary 360 degrees film. It will touch every single part of you emotionally if you've ever loved anybody. So that. If you've experienced addiction in any way, spoiler alert, suicide, you will be prepared because you'll be rocked to your core. You will... I mean, I still haven't recovered. I've been home like an hour now. And I'm still not right. I've got to go out tonight. I don't know how I'm going to go out tonight because this film has...
Sweetie.
No, it's right. This film is, you know, and I hate people that always say, oh, this is an important film, or this isn't important, because I've never said that. I've never said that really, but this really, really is a really important film because I think it shows that. It shows brilliantly the horror of depression, the horror of trying to fix, the horror of the disease that is addiction. It's not a lifestyle choice. It's a disease and it affects so many people in so many different ways. And that suicide isn't like so many people think about somebody being selfish, because that's what people always say, well, how selfish, how could a person... Suicide isn't about somebody being selfish. So often it's about a person just believing that there's no point to them being in the world and that they are somehow damaging the people that they love's life, sort of. And with the rate of male suicide, what it is in the Western world, I think it's really important that brilliant, sensitive, super smart, sensitively done films like this. I mean, there won't be another film like this for a very long time. There will not be another film like this.
I was just about to say, when you said films like this, I don't think there are films like this. You know, as a recovering addict, as someone who has been and gone close to very, very, very low points in my life and continually battled them, it was an acutely painful watch. But by saying that, I don't want to put people off watching it. You'll take that from it if you've gone through it. If you haven't gone through it, you'll be able to find something else in the story that you relate to.
I think there's very few people in the world that aren't touched by either mental health, depression, addiction or suicide, somewhere in some way.
He managed to achieve the impossible for me in a genre that is littered with cliches. He avoided every single cliche, and that is a major achievement, precisely because I think the title in itself is a cliche, A Star Is Born. And he managed to do everything in his power to avoid every cliche that you could see coming in the genre of the film. You know, I'm reading here, musical romantic drama doesn't sum it up. There is no genre definition.
What is he going to do next?
Well, I don't know what he can do next.
I worry for him that this will be his pinnacle. I worry for him.
A lot of people are suggesting that he should replace the sacked director of Guardians of the Galaxy because he has a cracking sense of humour. And I think that might be the thing he needs to do, is go completely to the other end. Oh, well, he's just remarkable. And he's the face of Haagen-Dazs.
Thank you for getting sober.
Guess who was originally slated to direct and star in this film? Just to give you a sense of what it could have been.
Who?
Clint Eastwood to direct.
No! He can't direct women!
With Beyoncé in the lead.
No!
That was, when it was originally announced by Warner Brothers, those were the people slated and scheduled to do it.
Thank God Warner Brothers took a chill pill and sorted themselves out.
Warner Brothers took a chill pill.
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.